Elias wiped the sweat from his brow as he stepped outside the small settlement. The sun was just rising over the rocky hills of Verdanes, casting long shadows across the dusty ground. Most of the other humans were still asleep, but Elias had always preferred the quiet mornings. He liked the sound of the wind through the strange, twisted trees and the way the light touched the metal roofs of the settlement. Today, however, something in the air felt different, like the world was holding its breath. He had been gathering herbs for the morning's tea when a sudden, high-pitched cry cut through the wind. At first, he thought it was one of the smaller animals that roamed the outskirts, but the sound was too sharp, too desperate. It was a call full of fear and pain. Elias's heart tightened, and he dropped his basket. Something was in trouble, and he had to see what it was. He followed the sound through a narrow path between the rocks. The ground was uneven, littered with sharp stones and broken branches. His boots crunched softly as he moved, careful not to scare whatever was making that sound. Then he saw it, a small, trembling shape huddled in the middle of a clearing. His breath caught in his throat. It was a baby dragon. Its scales shimmered with a soft green light, and smoke curled gently from its tiny nostrils. Its wings were folded awkwardly, and its tail twitched in panic. It looked no bigger than a large dog, but there was a wild energy in its eyes, a mixture of fear and confusion that made Elias freeze for a moment. The baby dragon hissed when it saw him, tiny flames flickering at the edges of its mouth. Elias raised his hands slowly, palms open, and spoke in a quiet, calm voice. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. I just want to help." The dragon's eyes narrowed, and it let out a small roar. Elias stepped back, giving it space. He had never seen a dragon before, and the thought of touching it made his stomach twist with nervous excitement. But he also knew that running away would only frighten the creature more. He needed to stay calm, or the baby dragon might hurt itself. He remembered the guitar slung over his back. It was an old, worn instrument, and he had used it to calm children and even animals back in the settlement. He slowly lifted it, letting the dragon see that he wasn't holding anything dangerous. Then he began to play. The first notes were soft, almost trembling, but as he found the rhythm, the sound filled the clearing. The wind carried the melody across the rocks, and the dragon's body stiffened. Its tail stopped twitching, and it blinked at him with wide, cautious eyes. The notes seemed to reach through the fear, touching something deep inside the little creature. Elias kept his voice low as he hummed along with the melody. He could see the smoke from the dragon's nostrils slow, the tiny flames shrinking until they disappeared entirely. Step by step, the dragon relaxed. It lowered its head slightly, letting him inch closer. Elias's heart raced with a mix of awe and relief. He had done it, he had calmed the baby dragon. The dragon made a soft, almost curious noise, tilting its head as it studied him. Elias reached out one hand slowly, just barely touching the warm scales near its neck. The dragon didn't move away. It shivered, but not from fear. It seemed to be deciding if he was safe. Elias smiled. "See? You're safe. I'm not going anywhere." For a few moments, they just stayed like that. A human and a dragon, alone in the quiet morning, connected by music and patience. Elias felt a strange thrill run through him. He had always known humans could do amazing things, but this was different. It wasn't just skill or strength that mattered here, it was heart. Courage. Understanding. The baby dragon suddenly let out a soft whine and nudged against his hand. Elias's eyes widened. The creature wanted him. It trusted him. The thought was almost overwhelming. He could feel the bond forming, delicate but strong. Then, from the edge of the clearing, Elias noticed something. A faint shimmer in the air, like heat haze but moving in a strange pattern. He frowned. He didn't know it yet, but this small, anxious dragon had a mother, and she was coming. And when she arrived, Elias would discover that the world he thought he understood was much larger, and far more dangerous, than he had ever imagined. For now, though, all he could do was keep playing, keep calm, and hope that his courage would be enough to protect the little dragon that had already begun to trust him. Elias kept strumming the guitar, his fingers moving slowly, carefully, as if the slightest wrong note could scare the baby dragon away. The clearing was quiet except for the soft melody and the distant wind rustling through the rocks. The little dragon's body was still tense, its wings twitching nervously, but the flames that had flickered from its mouth were gone. Elias breathed a small sigh of relief. He took another cautious step closer. "It's okay," he whispered, letting the words float in the air. "You're safe. I won't hurt you." The dragon's eyes flicked toward him, sharp and bright, and for a moment, Elias thought it might run. But it didn't. It simply watched, shivering slightly, trying to understand this strange human who played music instead of weapons. The sun climbed higher, casting golden light across the clearing. Elias noticed the dragon's scales glimmered in the sunlight, shifting from green to hints of gold and blue. He had never seen anything like it. Its small claws dug into the dirt, leaving tiny marks that seemed delicate but full of power. The creature was small, yes, but there was an energy inside it, wild and untamed, that reminded Elias that dragons were not animals, they were something extraordinary. He continued playing, letting the notes rise and fall like gentle waves. Slowly, the dragon's shivering lessened. Its tail twitched less violently, and its ears, or whatever small flaps it had on its head, relaxed slightly. Elias's heart raced. He had calmed animals before, but never anything like this. This was not fear alone. There was confusion, a deep sadness, a longing that he could feel radiating from the little dragon. Elias set the guitar down carefully on a flat rock, keeping his hands raised in peace. "Come on," he murmured softly. "You can trust me." The dragon tilted its head, then, with a small hesitant step, moved closer. Elias's chest tightened. Every human on Verdanis had been taught to fear dragons. But here he was, connecting with one in a way no human had done in decades. The baby dragon lowered its head to the ground, sniffing cautiously at Elias's boots. He knelt down, letting his hand hover above its shimmering scales. The dragon flinched at first, but then pressed gently against his palm. Elias smiled, amazed. Its warmth was like nothing he had felt before, strong, alive, almost like it could burn through his skin if it wanted. But it didn't. It trusted him. For a long moment, they stayed that way. Human and dragon, together in silence, connected by trust and courage. Elias could feel the dragon's heartbeat, fast but steadying. He understood, in that moment, why humans had always admired dragons in stories. They were not just powerful, they were intelligent, emotional, and capable of forming bonds that went beyond fear. Suddenly, the dragon made a small noise, a kind of whine that sounded almost like a child calling for its mother. Elias froze. He looked around the clearing, tense. He didn't know what he would do if a larger dragon appeared. Yet the little one nudged him again, more insistently this time, as if telling him, "I need help." Elias swallowed hard. "Okay," he said. "I'll help. I'll keep you safe." He stood slowly, hands open, making sure the dragon didn't see him as a threat. The creature backed up a little, wings still folded tight, but it didn't flee. Elias had earned its trust, however fragile, and he knew he could not let it down. He picked up the guitar again, strumming slowly to keep the dragon calm. Each note seemed to weave a connection between them, something unspoken but powerful. Elias realized that this small dragon was not only frightened but also deeply lonely. Something had happened to it, something that left it lost and anxious. And now it had found him. The wind shifted suddenly, carrying a faint smell of smoke and ash. Elias tensed. He glanced toward the horizon, eyes narrowing. The dragon stiffened too, letting out a low, warning hiss. Elias crouched slightly, keeping his voice soft. "It's okay," he whispered. "Whatever is coming, we'll face it together." Then he saw it. A shadow moving over the distant rocks. Bigger than any creature he had ever seen. The baby dragon's body pressed close to him, trembling, but not in fear, more like recognition. Elias's pulse quickened. He didn't know what this creature was yet, but he knew it was connected to the little dragon in a way that went beyond anything he had imagined. He looked down at the baby dragon. Its eyes were wide and shining, filled with both hope and panic. Elias took a deep breath and kept strumming, slow and steady. Whatever came next, they would face it together. Human courage, human patience, human understanding, it was all he had. And somehow, it felt enough. The shadow grew closer. The wind carried the scent of something ancient, powerful, and majestic. The baby dragon stirred, making a small, desperate cry that sounded almost like a call for its mother. Elias's chest tightened. He had calmed one storm, but the real one, the one that would change everything, was just beginning. And yet, despite the fear, Elias felt a spark of hope. He had reached this small dragon, shown it kindness, and earned its trust. If he could do that, maybe he could face what was coming. With the guitar in his hands and courage in his heart, Elias took a step forward, ready to meet whatever waited at the edge of the clearing. The shadow moved closer, and Elias's heart pounded in his chest. His fingers rested lightly on the guitar, strumming a soft, steady rhythm. The baby dragon pressed against his leg, trembling, but it did not run. Elias could feel its fear, but also a strange recognition, like it knew what was coming. Then he saw her. She was enormous, bigger than any dragon he had ever imagined. Her scales shimmered like liquid silver in the sunlight, and her wings stretched wide, casting a shadow that darkened the clearing. Smoke drifted from her nostrils, curling into the air like gray ribbons. Her eyes, deep and golden, were fixed on the little dragon, and Elias could see the power and intelligence in them. She was majestic, terrifying, and beautiful all at once. The baby dragon whined and stepped forward, pushing lightly against Elias's leg. Elias knelt quickly, unsure if he should hold it back or let it approach. The dragon's instincts were strong. He had calmed it before, but this was different. This was its mother, and something told him that no human could interfere. The mother dragon let out a low growl, a sound that vibrated through the ground. Elias flinched but stayed calm. He knew any sudden movement could trigger aggression. He kept strumming the guitar, letting the melody float between them. The notes were soft, gentle, almost pleading, carrying his courage across the air. For a moment, it seemed she didn't notice him. Her gaze was entirely on her baby. The little dragon's tail twitched nervously, and it crept closer, eyes wide with recognition. The mother lowered her massive head slightly, nostrils flaring as she sniffed the air. Then, slowly, she knelt down, her huge wings folding carefully, careful not to crush anything. Elias's breath caught in his throat. The bond between the two dragons was obvious, a silent communication that he could not understand but could feel. The baby dragon chirped softly and rubbed its small head against its mother's snout. The mother purred, a low, rumbling sound that shook the dirt under Elias's hands. It was incredible. He had expected fear, maybe anger. Instead, he saw love, recognition, and relief. He realized then that dragons were far more intelligent and emotional than humans had ever imagined. But then the mother's gaze shifted, and she looked directly at Elias. Her eyes were like mirrors, seeing deep into his mind. Elias froze. He felt a strange warmth, a pressure in his chest, and then, suddenly, a wave of understanding passed between them. He understood something he shouldn't have known. The mother dragon was not just any dragon. She carried the weight of an ancient lineage, guardians of a civilization long lost to the stars. Her presence was commanding, and the power she radiated was overwhelming. Elias's pulse raced. He had calmed a baby dragon, but now he realized the magnitude of what he had done. A human, alone, unarmed, had earned the trust of a creature that could destroy a village in moments. And yet, she did not attack. She seemed to study him, weighing his courage, his heart, his intentions. The baby dragon chirped again, nudging Elias's hand. He smiled nervously and patted its tiny head. "It's okay," he whispered. "You're safe." The mother's gaze softened slightly, and the baby dragon pressed closer, chirping happily. Elias noticed the markings on the baby dragon's scales. Tiny symbols, glowing faintly, etched in patterns that pulsed with a strange light. He realized they were not random, they were signs of lineage, signs of power. This little dragon was special, chosen, and the mother was aware of that. The mother dragon let out a low hiss, not threatening, but warning. Elias held up his hands. "I mean no harm," he said quietly. The dragon tilted her massive head, as if considering him. Then, slowly, she stepped back, giving him space while keeping her eyes on the baby. Elias's mind raced. He had to think fast. The settlement was nearby, full of humans who had never seen a dragon this close. If they came now, panic would spread, and violence could erupt. He needed to protect the dragons and the people. The baby dragon chirped again and nuzzled him, then looked up at its mother. The mother lowered her head closer to the baby, and Elias could see it now, how her massive frame curved protectively around the smaller one. There was no room for doubt, she was its mother. And she was powerful beyond anything he could imagine. A thought struck him, sharp and urgent. What if the mother had enemies? What if others sought to capture or kill her? He realized that calming the baby dragon was only the beginning. If humans and dragons were to survive on this planet, he had to act carefully, with courage and intelligence. He took a deep breath and strummed his guitar again, letting the notes fill the clearing. It was not music for the dragons, it was a signal of peace, of trust, of human courage. Slowly, the mother dragon relaxed slightly, wings folding, tail curling around the baby. Elias smiled. Somehow, his small act of patience and courage had earned their trust. For the first time, he felt hope. Human courage, empathy, and understanding had created a bond with creatures stronger than anything he had faced. But Elias knew the real challenge was yet to come. The mother dragon's presence was a sign that the world was larger and more dangerous than he had ever imagined. And yet, for now, he had calmed the storm. The dragons were together, and he had survived their judgment. He knew this moment would change everything, for him, for the settlement, and perhaps, for all humans on Verdanis. The sun climbed higher, lighting the clearing with gold. Elias knelt next to the baby dragon, stroking its scales gently, and looked up at the enormous figure of its mother. One thing was certain, he had discovered something extraordinary, and there was no turning back. Elias's hands trembled slightly as he knelt beside the baby dragon, still strumming softly on his guitar. The melody floated through the clearing, calm and steady, but his mind raced. The mother dragon loomed above, massive and majestic, her golden eyes fixed on him with intelligence that seemed almost human. Elias felt a chill run down his spine. He had calmed a creature of fire and power, but now he realized he was staring into the mind of a being older and wiser than any human he had ever known. The baby dragon chirped, nudging his hand, and Elias smiled nervously. "It's okay. I won't let anything happen to you." The dragon seemed to understand, pressing closer. But it was the mother who held his attention. She tilted her head slightly, and Elias felt a strange, almost electric sensation in his chest. It was like she was speaking directly to him, not with sound, but with thought. Then it happened. A shockwave of understanding swept through him, sudden and powerful. Images, memories, and knowledge poured into his mind, not like words but like flashes of light and emotion. He saw stars, ancient civilizations, and dragons soaring through galaxies long before humans had even left Earth. He saw battles, sacrifices, and the guardianship of a species that had once protected planets and knowledge beyond imagination. Elias staggered back, gripping his guitar for support. He gasped. The mother dragon's eyes softened, and he realized the truth: she was no ordinary dragon. She was a guardian, the last of a legendary lineage thought extinct. She carried the knowledge and responsibility of an entire civilization within her. The baby dragon was her heir, a symbol of hope and continuity. His heart raced. The humans in the settlement had no idea what they were dealing with. To them, dragons were myths, dangerous beasts, or treasures to exploit. Yet here was one who could think, plan, and judge as clearly as any human leader. And she had allowed him, a single human, to approach and calm her child. Elias's chest swelled with a mix of fear and pride. He had earned the trust of the most powerful being he had ever encountered. The mother dragon let out a low rumble, almost a purr, and Elias felt another wave of emotion pass through him. It was gratitude, curiosity, and caution all at once. She studied him carefully, assessing his courage, his heart, and his intentions. Elias understood that his actions, small, patient, and human, had spoken louder than any weapon or threat could. He had survived her judgment not by strength, but by empathy and courage. The baby dragon chirped again, and Elias looked down. It had begun to glow faintly, the symbols on its scales pulsing with light. The mother lowered her head closer, wings slightly open, protective but not threatening. Elias realized that this small dragon was not just a child, it was a key, a living symbol of a power that could change the balance of the world. Suddenly, the mother dragon spoke, not in words, but in thoughts, clear and direct. Elias felt the images again, but this time they formed sentences he could understand. She told him that danger was coming, a force that threatened not only her family but the settlement and the planet itself. She needed humans who could think, act, and fight with courage. She needed Elias. Elias swallowed hard, gripping the guitar tighter. "Me," he whispered. The answer came not as words, but as certainty. She had chosen him because he had shown bravery, empathy, and the ability to act without fear. She trusted him, and if the coming threat arrived, she would rely on him and the humans of the settlement to survive. The baby dragon chirped and nuzzled his hand again, and Elias realized something. His small act of kindness, playing a melody to calm a frightened creature, had created a bond that could determine the future of the planet. He had never thought that a human could matter so much to a being so powerful, but now he understood. Courage and heart could rival strength and fire. The mother dragon lowered her massive wings slightly, and Elias felt her power recede a little. She was still formidable, still commanding, but she had accepted him as an ally, not a threat. He could see the pride and hope in her eyes. She had found in him a human capable of extraordinary empathy, the kind that could build trust between species. Elias knew the settlement could not yet comprehend what had just happened. Humans might fear the dragons or try to control them. But he had a choice. He could protect the baby, honor the mother, and prepare his people for what was coming. Or he could ignore the warning and risk losing everything. He took a deep breath, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He looked at the baby dragon, then at the mother. "I won't let anything happen to you," he whispered. "I promise." The baby chirped, and the mother's eyes softened further, as if acknowledging his vow. For the first time, Elias felt something profound. Human courage, simple and unarmed, could stand beside the power of dragons and perhaps even shape the future of worlds. The wind shifted again, carrying the faint scent of smoke from the mother dragon's wings. Elias knew the challenge ahead would be greater than anything he had faced before. But he also knew this: he had earned their trust, and that trust was a weapon stronger than any sword or laser. Together, human and dragons could survive, and maybe even triumph. For now, he stayed on his knees, holding the baby close, eyes never leaving the mother. The revelation had shaken him, but it had also ignited a fire within him. He was ready. The sun climbed higher over the rocky hills, shining on a human and two dragons, bound by courage, empathy, and the promise of something greater than either species had known before. And in that moment, Elias knew that the real story, the battle, the discovery, the growth, was only just beginning. Elias stood at the edge of the clearing, the baby dragon clinging gently to his side. The mother dragon hovered nearby, wings partially open, her golden eyes scanning the horizon. Elias could feel the power radiating from her, and for a moment, he felt small, ordinary. But then he remembered something: courage was not about size or strength, it was about heart. And his heart had earned the trust of these incredible beings. The settlement lay not far away, nestled between rocky hills. Smoke still curled from the chimneys, and faint noises of humans going about their morning reached him. None of them had seen the dragons yet, and Elias knew they might panic if they did. Fear could turn a moment of wonder into disaster. He had to act carefully. He knelt beside the baby dragon, stroking its shimmering scales. The symbols etched on its body glowed faintly in the morning light. Elias realized that this little creature carried not only power but a connection between species, a hope that humans and dragons could survive together. He whispered softly, "We have to protect each other. Can you do that?" The dragon chirped, nuzzling him, and Elias felt a spark of confidence. The mother dragon's wings shifted, sending gusts of wind across the clearing. Her voice echoed in his mind, clear and calm. She warned him of the danger approaching, a group of mercenaries, humans and machines, seeking to capture dragons for power and profit. Elias's stomach tightened. They were fast, well-armed, and ruthless. But he also felt a surge of determination. He had faced fear before and calmed it with heart. Now, he would face this threat the same way. Elias picked up his guitar, holding it like a banner of courage. He stepped forward, keeping his voice steady. "Everyone stay calm," he called toward the settlement. "I need you to listen. There's danger coming, but we can face it together." His words carried authority, not because of weapons or strength, but because of courage and conviction. Humans responded. Slowly, people emerged from the settlement, eyes wide, unsure what to make of the dragons. The mother dragon let out a low roar, signaling the baby to stay close. Elias raised his hands, showing he meant no harm, and the humans hesitated. Then he spoke again, gently but firmly, "These dragons aren't enemies. They're allies. If we work together, we can survive what's coming." Murmurs ran through the settlement, fear mixing with curiosity. But Elias could feel their hearts responding. Humans had always been survivors, capable of ingenuity and courage. And now, seeing the dragons, seeing him stand beside them, they understood that this was a moment where courage mattered more than weapons. The ground trembled as the mercenaries approached, machines clanking and engines roaring. Elias felt his pulse quicken, but he didn't waver. He strummed the guitar, letting the melody rise over the noise. The baby dragon chirped, responding to the music, and the mother dragon's wings beat powerfully, creating gusts that cleared debris and slowed the approaching threat. Then Elias acted. Using the terrain and his knowledge of the settlement, he guided the humans to defend strategically, combining their tools, traps, and creativity with the dragon's strength and intelligence. Rocks toppled, nets flew, and the mercenaries struggled against the coordinated defense. The mother dragon unleashed bursts of flame that were precise, targeting machines without harming humans. The baby dragon, still small, darted and distracted, its energy focused and sharp. Through it all, Elias moved calmly, courage guiding his decisions. He shouted instructions, encouraged the frightened, and stayed close to the dragons, signaling with his hands and voice. Human courage and dragon power combined into something unstoppable, a unity no one could have imagined before. Hours passed like minutes. The mercenaries, overwhelmed and disoriented, began to retreat. Elias and the dragon stood together, triumphant but exhausted. The humans cheered, but Elias raised a hand to quiet them. He wanted them to understand, this victory was not just about strength, it was about trust, empathy, and courage. The mother dragon lowered her head toward Elias, eyes soft but commanding. He understood her gratitude. The baby dragon chirped happily, rubbing against his leg. Humans approached cautiously, eyes wide with awe and respect. They realized that Elias had shown them what it meant to be truly human, not just capable of survival, but capable of courage, understanding, and compassion that could change the course of history. That night, as the sun set and painted the sky in shades of gold and purple, Elias sat with the baby dragon on his lap and the mother nearby, wings folded but alert. He strummed his guitar gently, letting the melody calm both humans and dragons. For the first time, the settlement felt completely safe, not because of walls or weapons, but because of unity. Elias looked up at the stars. He thought of the challenges ahead, other humans, other threats, other unknown dangers, but he felt ready. Humanity had proven that courage and heart could stand beside power and intelligence. And together with dragons, they could face anything. The baby dragon chirped again, looking into his eyes, and Elias smiled. We did it, he whispered. We did it together. The mother dragon gave a soft rumble, as if confirming his words. In that moment, Elias understood something profound. Human courage was not just survival, it was connection, empathy, and the ability to inspire trust. And with that courage, humans could change the galaxy, one act at a time. The wind carried the faint echo of the guitar's melody across the hills, and Elias felt a deep, unshakable certainty. Together, humans and dragons had become something greater than either could be alone. And this was only the beginning.